Well, isn't this a bummer, Punk Summer Man? With the All Elite Wrestling New Japan Pro Wrestling event Forbidden Door right around the corner, we were hit with the unfortunate news this past Friday that AEW World Heavyweight Champion CM Punk will have to take time away for injury. And while this is heartbreaking and disappointing for many different reasons, this leaves a lot of room for AEW to do some creative booking. Since the Panorama Pizza, we really have not had a chance to see AEW book with their backs against the wall like this. And with the most unpredictable year happening so far in AEW's existence in the best way possible, it's time to board the speculation station. This is Extreme League Wrestling, get well soon Cookie Monster Punk, and these are our top 5 choices for the AEW Interim World Heavyweight Champion. But first, my honorable mention, Keith Lee. With a roster as stacked as AEW's, it's understandable that some people's favorites might feel lost in the shuffle right now. That criticism really rings true for one limitless Keith Lee. And yes, while I love his tag team with Swerve Strickland, why not take this opportunity to silence the criticism of misusing the roster? Give Lee the spotlight that he wouldn't have gotten in WWE. The man has the athleticism of some of the best cruiserweights in the world, and with a voice as sultry as his, you literally cannot go wrong. And while putting your top championship on Keith Lee is the definition of a no-brainer, there's not really a storyline reason that you could have him face Punk later on once he returns from injury. And not to say that a match between Keith Lee and CM Punk wouldn't be the best thing, please take my money. There are a few more long-term story opportunities that you have with this Eliminator tournament that they just announced. Which luckily, this friendly person on Twitter made a bracket to finally explain correctly. Thank you very much. Now, on to the proper list. Number 5, Eddie Kingston. I love Eddie Kingston, you love Eddie Kingston, let's be real, everyone loves Eddie Kingston. Eddie is probably one of the most earnest performers currently working in the professional wrestling world. This, along with his penchant for violence, truly made his match with CM Punk at Full Gear 2021 amazing. Which, to be fair, let's not call it a match, that was a fight. It would be fantastic to see him revisit his match with Jon Moxley in 2020 with a totally different friendship dynamic. And then knowing Eddie's love for Japanese wrestling, defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi at Forbidden Door, the pop that match would receive would blow the roof off the United Center. And then after a solid babyface run facing all competitors worldwide, finally, his boogeyman, his final boss, CM Punk, returns. For Eddie, it wouldn't be about the championship, it would be about defending his pride. The wrestling child inside of me is currently screaming. Number 4, Hangman Adam Page. Yes, Hangman Page just lost the title, but let's look at the larger story that we could tell here. The self-confidence Hangman Adam Page was able to develop after defeating Kenny Omega for the AEW Championship waned when having to face CM Punk. During the go-home episode of AEW Dynamite, Hangman alluded to not only having to defend the AEW title against CM Punk, but AEW itself from CM Punk. This, to some Eagle Eye fans, was a bit of foreshadowing for CM Punk's impending AEW title reign. A heel turn with a big gold belt and having CM Punk become the new big bad of AEW seemed like a great way to spend our summer before Punk's injury. But for me and some viewers, this foreshadowing kinda got swept under the rug and we didn't really get the full context of what Hangman was talking about. With an intimate CM Punk return, a interim champion in Hangman Adam Page could begin to have a bit of a paranoid run, saying that CM Punk does not have the best interest of the fans or AEW at heart. This would, yes, turn Hangman Adam Page heel, but imagine the double turn, a proper Steve Austin and Bret Hart double turn for both CM Punk and Hangman Adam Page at All Out 2022. Imagine the reveal of proper heel CM Punk and a now super babyface in Hangman Adam Page. I could see Hangman Adam Page coming out the next night on Dynamite and say, look, now is not the time for I told you so's. Now it's time we fight for the championship back. Now it's time we fight for AEW. It brings a tear to my eye just thinking about it. Number 3, Bryan Danielson. The Blackpool Combat Club has seen some of the best work of newcomers like Wheeler Yuta, as well as veterans like Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley. Many have clamored for Bryan Danielson to hold the AEW World title since his debut at All Out 2021, and to be fair, it's not hard to imagine why, cause he's Bryan freaking Danielson. He's gonna kick your head in. The Blackpool Combat Club has slowly become one of the best factions in all of All Elite Wrestling. Also, it would just be fun to see him put on classics with Joe, even Moxley for some interfactional warfare, as well as people like Chris Jericho, and maybe even some newcomers like Dante Martin and Lee Moriarty. And not to mention mention once Punk comes back, we can finally settle some scores in the back that Punk had alluded to in his return promo. For our next pick, let's go ahead and keep it in the club. Number 2, Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley winning his first world title outside of WWE was an amazing experience that was unfortunately derailed by, that pan pizza we talked about earlier. While Moxley, in my opinion, did the best out of any of the major promotional champions during the pandemic era, unfortunately most of his reign was not in front of live crowds. I personally think putting the belt on one Jon Moxley would be a great opportunity to thank him for his years of work at AEW. He truly is the ace of this company. And with New Japan Pro Wrestling building to a Tanahashi and Jon Moxley match, it only seems natural. And then once Punk returns, this would make a great main event for All Out, setting the stage for possibly one of the best main events in AEW history. And finally, our number 1 pick for the interim AEW title, MJF. And while yes, I can recognize the fact that the MJF situation with AEW is a bit, well, as Avril Lavigne once said, complicated. But unpredictability is something beautiful that can happen in wrestling, and AEW truly captured a lightning in a bottle moment last week on Dynamite. And I'm just saying, with that promo, with the activity online, this has CM Punk Money in the Bank 2011 written all over it. And instead of taking the route that WWE did, ignoring the fans and trying to make CM Punk out to be the bad guy in the situation when he was adamantly cheered, you will have a true bad guy trying to defeat AEW from the inside with MJF. Can't you just imagine it? MJF comes out to the Dynamite after Forbidden Door, looks right down the camera and says, "Tony, I will be hanging on to this until we can talk about the money you owe me." And then he holds the company hostage until CM Punk's return. This is the moment. This is the moment to crown MJF as the true monster heel of AEW. Finally, all that potential that we've been seeing for the past 3 years could finally come to fruition if Tony just pulls the trigger on it. But is the MJF situation a work? Is it a shoot? Is it a wordy work, shoot, work, jabroni brother? Much love, HH. But anyway, that is our list for the top 5 choices for the AEW Interim Championship. Who do you think should win the tournament? Let us know in the comments down below. We're super excited for Forbidden Door, guys. Hope you are too. And get well soon, CM Punk. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and follow us on all social media. Thank you for watching Extreme League Wrestling, and we'll catch you next time.